got to the point where I just made peace with myself. I thought, this is it. The mood is very tense because obviously it's the second time coming, and they seem to get worse.
Yeah.
He took the gun and opened my mouth and put the gun right down my mouth, right down there. And so I couldn't do anything, and I just kind of praying, and what I remember having two thoughts. The one thought is, if he shoots me like that, it's going to be so damn sore because it's going to go straight down. And the other thought I had was, I'm sure that one was from God, was I just had a little window, and if that gun comes out of my mouth, I must scream. He said, we know this is safe, and we're going to shoot you if you don't tell us where it is. And then I said, well, he said, and then he was trying to get me to tell him where it was, but I was saying, ha 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 ha, because I couldn't talk. Yeah. So then he took out and he said, remember, if you scream or anything, I'm going to shoot you. So he took it out, and the minute it was out of my mouth, I gave the biggest scream, the ugliest scream you've ever heard in your life, because I knew that's my last chance.
I noticed an ambulance approaching, and I went to go check what was happening. So I went to go see if I could assist them. So I stood about 10 meters away from the ambulance, and I asked them if I could assist them in any way. They told me they needed me to sign a form. So I asked them what form, and when I asked him what form, he pointed a gun at me. The driver of the ambulance pointed a gun at me and said to me, I must walk slowly towards him, and I must keep quiet. So I walked slowly towards him. My brother was approaching from behind me, and they told me to go around to the passenger side, and I must look at a form and pretend to be reading it. So I did that, and while I was doing that, my brother came and stood next to me. As soon as my brother got next to me, they hit me with a gun over the head and threw me in the back. They slapped my brother and threw him in the back. They then drove closer to the house and took me out, asked me how they could get into the house, and I told them I have no way of getting into the house. And they got frustrated and told me to get back in the van, and we drove off the property, and they took us to an unknown location, which was a veld. Told me to get out, started assaulting me, asking me questions about where the safes are, how many people are on the property, how many people are armed, where they can find firearms and cash. I then told them I don't know. They then questioned my brother in the same manner, and he told them a complete different story, which agitated them. So they took me back out and assaulted me some more, told me that they were going to kill me. They then told me to get back in the van, and we drove to another location. But before we could get there, the SAP's vehicle noticed that the ambulance was driving at a high speed and was driving in a weird area. So they immediately flashed it, and they immediately stopped and fired 2 shots at the SAPs and fled the scene. And then SAPs approached the ambulance and rescued us.
And I just don't feel safe, because I feel like we have put all kinds of things up on the windows, but you know, I tell you, I love these kids. I love them with all my heart. And God, if anything happened to one of them, I can't imagine. I lost sight. I was just thinking, if they killed them, I would die.